Hi there, my name is Andrew and this is Rachel. We both work for the Great Plains Food Bank, and we are here today to talk a little bit about some of the more common questions that we get from our partner agencies regarding food pickups from retail partners. And we'd also like to go over a little bit more about sort of the role of our partner agencies in food rescue, what that means in maintaining donor relationships, as well as the specifics of actually conducting food pickups, and hopefully clarify some of the more common questions that we come across.
All right, first question, Andrew. What should I do if I cannot pick up on a day designated to my agency?
Well, I think we know that as much as we always want to be on time and arrive at the donor when we're supposed to be there, it's just not possible, especially here in North Dakota with weather concerns, whether it be transportation problems, volunteer staffing. Something's going to happen eventually. And we understand that, but we also want to make sure that we do our due diligence anytime that those issues do come up. First things first, always contact the donor, let them know the issue that you're having, let them know that you're either running behind or not going to be able to make it. From there, you have a few options. You can inquire with the donor and ask them if they urgently need to pick up that day, or if there's a time you could reschedule. But you should keep in mind that other agencies are picking up throughout the week more than likely, and you don't want to interfere with those other pickups. So if you do know of another agency in your community who's picking up, and you do know that they have been enabled by the Great Plains Food Bank to do pickup, you can inquire with them if they'd be able. That's a time where it really pays off to have good relationships with your fellow food pantries in the area. If you're just going to be unable, reach out to the food resource manager or your regional service manager. Let them know the issue. They can help look for someone to fill in for you. They can also communicate with the donor and clear up the issue and make sure that everything is going to be good moving forward.
If I don't pick up, do I have to receipt that?
Yes, so even if you don't pick up, we do ask that you go into your PWW login and enter in a receipt for £0. Feel free to leave a note that says that you were unable to pick up and provide a reason. We do that. We ask that you do that because then we are able to, when we're auditing your receipts, we'll see that there's a reason why we don't have an entry for that day, so we're not calling you asking you for a receipt that doesn't exist.
Great. There seems to be problems all the time with the stuff I'm picking up. I'm getting too much bakery, or I'm never getting enough meat, or all of my produce seems to be spoiled.
Yeah, and this one, definitely one of the more common concerns that we get, that we hear from our partner agencies, particularly that they're getting too much bread from a donor, is something that we hear a lot, and that's a concern that we are actually monitoring here at the food bank, trying to keep open communication with our donors, ask them what we can do to help improve that product mix, ask them if they need any support for providing other types of product. But that is a common issue, and I think you'll find that from week to week and even month to month and throughout the course of the year, the mix of stuff that you're going to receive does change quite a bit. I very often will have an agency call me and say, I haven't received meat in weeks. And then a few weeks later, I'm looking at their receipts and I see they have hundreds and hundreds of pounds of meat, and I give them a call and they say, yeah, all of a sudden we're getting more meat than we can handle. So we really urge you to take a patient approach to that. Keep in mind that things do change. Even the day of the week that you're picking up can have an effect on what product you're receiving. Some departments will shrink their inventory processes on a certain day of the week, and that can lead to more of that product falling onto the following day. And those things just ebb and flow. So we urge you to take a patient approach. But if it is an ongoing issue, always feel free to reach out to the food bank, and we can help sort of interface with the donor and see what ways we can improve that product mix.
If I'm receiving produce that seems mostly spoiled, do I need to record that somewhere or tell you, or do I just throw it away, or what do I do with that?
So you will, pretty much regardless of what store and what kind of relationship you have, there's a good chance that a high percentage of that produce you're receiving is going to be bad, maybe even a majority. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. But you should be recording that, and maybe in a less formal way, but take note of it. Let us know if it becomes an ongoing issue. If it's getting to the point where you're receiving almost no produce, please do reach out to us, and we'll reach out to the store and see how we can either limit the amount of bad produce you're getting, make sure that their staff are going through that produce a little more diligently, getting less trash in there, or identifying a better, maybe produce needs to be donated on a separate day, something along those lines.
Am I able to refuse something if I don't want it?
You can't refuse something because you don't want it, but you are able to refuse something if it smells bad, if the label is illegible, if it looks rotten. So you can't refuse a product simply because it's something that you don't want to utilize. If it's something that you can't utilize, I do urge you to let the people at the store know that and say, hey, we simply can't use this product, or maybe we don't have enough cooler space, something along those lines. But through our agreement with the donors, you are required to take every donation that they have if it is food safe.
Do I have to return my receipts in weekly? My regional service manager said yes, but it's more convenient for me to turn them all in at the end of the month.
You do need to turn them in weekly. We asked if at all possible you turn them in weekly, and at the very least you need to turn them in by 5 p.m. on the last business day of the month, and that's because our database closes. So any receipt that is entered in the following month needs to be incorrectly entered as the first day of that month. So that leads to inaccurate reporting to our donors that can really hurt their bottom line and affect their donation policy. So it's very, very important that we get all of your receipts for the month by the last business day of the month. And if we don't get that, it becomes an ongoing issue. It can impact your agency standing.
Do I need to record the temperatures into PWW?
You do. You need to place them into the notes section when you're entering. You'll see there at the top there's a notes section. We ask you that you enter all the temperatures, just break it down line by line for each product type that you have on your receipt, and just type it in there manually. We don't have a field in PWW right now for temperature, but we do ask that you enter it into the notes.
What happens if something is out of temp? Do I still record that into PWW? Do I throw away the product? How do I handle that?
So if the product is out of temp when you're at the donor, you have a couple of options. You can either let the donor know, and this is what we really urge you to do, is let the donor know, explain to them the temperature ranges that are acceptable to you. If it becomes a consistent problem, ask that they leave that product in the cooler right up until you arrive, or even better yet, let you retrieve it from the cooler. So you can either tell them that and reject the product, or you can take it back to your agency as long as you keep it separate from the food that you will be distributing. Keep it separate. You can take it back to your agency and dispose of it, but that's really not a great solution. It's not a great long-term solution for sure.
So as a part of the process, I know we're asked to weigh the items, but oftentimes I get a hodgepodge box and there's lots of different choices. How do I streamline the process, or can I streamline the process for my volunteers?
So it can be a hassle, but we do need you to break down all of those boxes into each of the product types that you'll find on your pickup form. That's very important for us, not only so we can analyze the nutritional quality of the items that we're getting from stores, but it also helps us identify when a store is lagging behind in a certain product, help us identify that early and create a solution. So for instance, if a store is donating less meat than other stores under its banner, we can see that early, call the store, see what's going on, and hopefully fix that situation.
Often when I'm going to enter a receipt, I think I have it in, but then an error occurs on PWW. Then I'll go to re-enter it and I've got 10 receipts in. How do I fix this?
So if you ever have any kind of issue with a lagging computer, or you're not sure if a receipt went in, reach out to the food bank, let them know the date in the store that the receipt is for. Someone does audit all of the receipts as they're coming in, so chances are they might catch it, but please reach out anyway, make sure they know, and it's as easy as us going into the back end of the system and just deleting those incorrect receipts.
Is there a timeline of when I need to contact you to do that before it's unfixable?
If you don't let us know before the end of the month and it does get entered in correctly, that's going to be permanent, and that'll be quite a big issue for our database and also for our reporting to the donor. So it's very important that if you have issues and you're not sure they got resolved, make sure that you let someone know before the end of the month at least.
How long do I have to keep my paper receipts?
So when you get your visit from your regional service manager, they might decide to audit all of those paper receipts, so we ask that you keep them for a full calendar year.
When the regional service manager comes, what will she be looking for when she looks at my receipts?
So she'll be looking to see that temperatures were recorded for every item, that the poundages are recorded correctly and added up correctly, and she'll also be checking to make sure that the checklist of inspections at the bottom has been checked on each and every one and each and every checkbox.
Sometimes my volunteers write down all of the temps and the pounds on a separate sheet of paper. Is it okay? Since we're entering into PWW, does it have to be written on the receipt you've provided, or can I staple the paper my volunteer wrote on to your receipt?
We'll need you to transcribe all of that information onto the provided receipt.
So how often should I calibrate my thermometer?
So regardless of whether you have an infrared thermometer gun or a long stem thermometer, you should be calibrating it at least once every month. And you can do this by taking a glass of water and filling it about halfway ice, halfway water. Let that sit for about 5 minutes to let that temperature regulate. And then either insert your probe thermometer in there or take a temp of the surface of it with the infrared thermometer, and it should read exactly 32 degrees. If it doesn't read that, you know that you need to adjust it.
Do I need to document calibrating my thermometer?
Yes, the food bank will provide you with a calibration log that you should be filling out at least once every month.
So if my temp gun is out of range, what do I do? Do I put new batteries in it? Would it be faulty?
If it's an infrared thermometer, yes, you should replace the batteries. You can do that by pulling on the handle towards the trigger. That should pop open. It takes a D battery. If it's a long stem thermometer, there's either a little nut that you will have to adjust until it reads exactly 32 in ice water, or on the digital ones, there is a button to calibrate it.
I picked up my product and there was just way too much. I was gonna donate it down the street to a soup kitchen. Is that okay?
It definitely is. The Great Plains Food Bank actually has a form for you to track all of those interagency donations that you might have. We just ask that the agency that you donate to keeps record of it and that you keep record of it and let your regional service manager know.
What if the agency isn't a part of the Great Plains Food Bank? Is that still okay?
In that case, no, it is not okay. You can only share among other Great Plains Food Bank agencies.
Okay.
Thank you for listening, and we hope we answered some of your more pressing questions. And if you do have anything else that you need to know, please do not hesitate to reach out, and we will be happy to help you.